spasm, then hung on the stakes, motionless. Jim saw nothing here that could be called anything but insane. He turned his attention to the man standing atop the tumbled-down masonry of an ancient wall, holding his hands up in a welcoming gesture. His expression and bearing made Jim wish to turn tail and run as fast as he could, as far as he could. He had never seen this man before, but his description fit with what he had learned from Pug of Sorcerer's Isle and a demon master named Amarantha. The man on the stones above was named Belasco, and if what he had been told about him was true, Jim knew him to be one of the most dangerous men alive today, and certainly one of the maddest. With a sweep of his hand, the magic user conjured an image, a shimmering likeness that hung in the air above his head, and which had the robed mob at his feet cry out in supplication and awe. The image was of Dahoon, and from what Jim had been able to learn over the last 6 months, the appearance of his likeness, as if he stood here in the flesh, meant his servants were closer to opening a portal for him. Dahoon was 20 feet tall and roughly man-shaped, but with what could only be called a scaled black lizard's tail, descending from his spine to drag on the ground behind him. His chest was massive, and his stomach rippled with muscles under skin that started black at his feet, blended to red at his stomach, and turned crimson at his chest. His face was human, save for a massive, jutting lower jaw and large, bat-like ears. His eyes were solid black orbs. Long tendrils of hair braided with human skulls hung to his shoulders. His brow was adorned with a massive golden circlet set with a dark stone pulsing with purple light. The fingers of his left hand ended in black talons and flexed slowly, restlessly, as if in anticipation of rending apart his enemies. In his right hand he held a flaming sword. His hips were girded with a metal-studded kilt of scintillating red material, and 2 large leather bands crossed his chest with a massive golden emblem at the center, a flaming fist. Jim spent a moment fixing the design in his memory. Then he glanced around and saw the slack-jawed, empty-eyed expression on those around him. It was clear they had eaten or drunk something in preparation for this ritual, so he attempted to mimic their shambling walk. Feeling almost sick to his stomach from fear, Jim steeled himself and moved slowly to join those approaching the monster. Like the others, he wore a heavy black robe and had pulled the cowl forward to conceal his features. The original owner of the robe was somewhere at the bottom of a deep ravine less than a 1/4 mile away, no longer needing the garment. He scuffled his feet a little, moving slower than those around him to keep to the rear of the crowd. He wanted everyone possible in front of him. He didn't dare be noticed, and he wanted the opportunity to slip away should the need arise. He kept his hands up inside the sleeves of his robe. One hand held a dagger treated with a fast-acting poison that would render anyone cut unable to move within a minute, and the other a device constructed for him by a master artificer in Krondor, a ball that, when shattered, would emit a brilliant white light for 10 seconds, more than enough time for Jim to slip away. It would leave those blinded unable to see into the shadows for at least another minute or 2. Jim had a well-earned reputation for being able to slip away given the slightest opportunity, and with this crew he knew slight was the best he could hope for. From the human onlookers, anyway. He couldn't be certain that everyone in attendance tonight was human. Jim swallowed hard again and paused, forcing himself to confront the image of the monster above. Belasco raised his hands again. Jim took only a moment to conclude the magic user was madder than a bug trapped in a bass drum. What was projected before the crowd was as horrifying a sight as Jim had ever witnessed, yet the magician was laughing like a delighted child. He was calling out to the faithful, but Jim wasn't quite close enough to hear the words, only the indistinct sound of his voice. Jim inched forward and to the right as those in front of him slowly rose to their feet, for the group was coming together in the middle of what had once been a fortress. Perhaps 500 of the faithful gathered.